All right, designers, I am going to walk you through this first splash into JavaScript where we are going to create a guess the number game. Let's imagine your boss is giving you the following brief for creating this game. I want you to create a simple guess the number type game. You should choose a random number between 1 and 100 and then challenge the player to guess the number in 10 turns. After each turn, the player should be told if they are right or wrong, and if they are wrong, whether the guess was too high or too low. It should also tell the player what numbers they previously guessed. The game will end once the player guesses correctly or once they run out of turns. When the game ends, the player should be given an option to start playing again. All right, so this is like taking me back to algebra. This is like a word problem. And really, I like this. What they tell us to do is break it down into simple, actionable tasks. And that's exactly what we have to do if we were doing algebra or calculus or whatever. And unfortunately, those are not prerequisites for JavaScript. And so we're going to teach you kind of how to do this. And if you could do this and you always thought you were bad at math, then you're not bad at math. You just need to figure out how to break things down like a programmer. Anyways, that is my old school math teacher coming in to say something. All right, so let's take a look at this and let's break it down into simple, actionable tasks. These tasks are going to help us to think as much like a programmer as possible. So on one side of the screen, I'm going to have these tasks that they have broken down. And then on the other side of the screen, we're actually going to have the HTML display of the guessing game. So this is that simple guessing game. It's in a nice little iframe here. And so they have used HTML, right? They've used some HTML, pretty simple HTML and CSS to create this little area, and it's a form, right? Because we have a place where we can input something and we can output something by submitting. Okay, so let's see how this works. Let's just put something in first. I'm gonna say 22 is my guess. So what I'm doing here, now let's think about what's actually happening. It says in the actionable steps, it says generate a random number between 1 and 100. So technically, because it's just sitting there in space, it really probably hasn't generated the random number yet. It probably doesn't even generate the random number until we submit our guess, but that's okay. That's going to come later. It says record the turn number the player is on. So like right at that moment, right on this instant, when I'm about to submit guess, these are the things that are going to happen. Generate a random number, the turn the number is player is on. I'm the player, so it's the first one, right? That's a counter. And then it's going to say provide the player with a way to guess what the number is. Okay, so that's our form entry. And then once the guess has been submitted, okay, here's that submit, record it somewhere so the user could see their previous. Okay, so it needs to show up somewhere. So we probably have another piece of HTML that's going to allow, excuse me, our number to be written here. Okay, so once it's written, it's checking whether it is a correct number. That makes sense. And then if it's correct, display congratulations message and stop the player from being able to enter more guesses, right? Okay, so these are very, very specific tests. Display control allowing player to restart the game. Okay, so let's actually see what happens. Okay, so I'm choosing 22. I'm submitting the guess. Whoa, look at that. So instantly, a lot less time than it took me to explain these steps. It says previous guesses. So now upon submit guess, it has given me an HTML statement, previous guesses 22. And then it's showing me, it's displaying a wrong message. That's a number 7. It says tell the player they are wrong and whether their guess was too high or too low. Last guess was too low. Okay, and now it wants me to give another guess. So it's still submit guess here. So we're going to find out once it's correct, we're going to see how it says display control allowing the player to restart the game. So this will probably change. Let's see what happens next. Okay, so allow them increment. Oh, here's the thing that it has to do is increment the term number by 1 because we're doing it in 10 turns or fewer. So we can't go past 10. Otherwise, the game is done. Okay, so let's do 1. If I was just still being random, I would not follow the directions. Last guess was too low. If I wanted to see what happens when it's wrong the whole way through and we go through 10 turns, I could keep doing opposite of what it's doing. But let's see what happens when it's right. Last guess was too low. Okay, I'm going to say 55. Submit guess. Oh, that's too low. Okay, how about 75? Submit guess. Oh, that was too high. So you notice what it's doing is it's adding each time. It's displaying, it's writing to that HTML. And then I'm going to try, okay, too high, so let's say 65. It's like to be in 5s. Too low. Okay, so now, like we, the user, can use logic. But if we weren't using logic, it wouldn't work. So this is funny. Let's say 60. Okay, that's in between 65 and 75. Oh, too low. Okay, so how about 63? Too low. 64. It has to be 64, right? No? Oh my goodness. Too low. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I feel like I'm missing something. 70? Let's see. Too low. Wait. 73? Too low. 74? Oh, wow. Finally. Wow. That was rough, right? I thought I had messed up. So let's see. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Finally, on my 10th, I got it right. Wow. So I did all of my turns. Okay. So this says, see if you can guess it in 10 turns or fewer. So I did, right? Congratulations. You got it right. And what has happened here? So what's happened here is that the submit guess is now grayed out. So it's no longer, you can't put anything else in here, right? It doesn't work. But I do have a new button. So now, upon, right, completion of the game, start new game button. So this is another HTML element that doesn't show up until some actions happen above here. Very interesting. Let's keep going. So what it's done, right? So finally it's correct. We stop the player. We display the control. Keep going. And here's the one where we haven't seen yet. If it is wrong and the player has no turns left, tell them the game is over. Stop the player and display the. So let's just see what happens here. So let's start a new game. And I'm going to try to do wrong. Okay, I'm going to try to do wrong. Let's do 5. Submit guess. Okay, and then I'm going to do 50. Submit guess, last too high. So I'm actually going to mess it up. Okay, I'm just going to always do what's wrong. Okay, I'm going to always do something wrong. Always do something wrong. Let's see. Oh, look at that. So game over, start a new game. So that's what happens if. So there's 3 possibilities here, and that's what's happening here. And if we did a logic tree, that would be a really nice way, a flowchart, to take a look at this. And that's another way to program, right? You start a flowchart, if this, then that, if this, then that, right? If then is one of the biggest logical operators that we'll ever use, and it is something we use a ton of in programming. Okay, so let's see. We've done that. So look at this. It says once the game restarts, make sure the game logic and UI, so user interface, are completely reset, then go back to step 1. Okay, so cool. So we have been able to figure out, now we have all these steps, these 9 actionable steps with a little bit in between. Now we have to figure out what is the code that goes with each of those steps. Let's see how to do that next.